And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Good morning, good afternoon, or possibly even good evening to you out there in the world listening to the RBLR Sports feed. I am James Knowles coming at you for the RBLR Rowdies show specifically. As always, I am joined by my amazing co-host. You know him, and I think you love him, Leo Santos. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, James. I hope people, love me. If not, at least, like me. But if it comes to a disliking situation or a hating situation, then we don't have room for that RBLR Sports. So with all that being said, I'm having a good day. How are you doing, James? How you doing yourself, man?
I'm doing pretty well. You know, we have a very good game to talk about from this past weekend. We have two games coming up for the week ahead. And outside of that, everything else seems pretty peachy keen. So we will go ahead and get moving into that. We all got to go to the game, actually, you and me and the producer, Eureka. We all got to, hang out. And Eureka and I went to the post-game press conference. So we kind of got, the whole experience, so to speak. And it was an awesome game on Saturday. For anyone who is unaware, the Rowdies had home opener and we won 2-0 over Indy 11. Like I said, we all got to experience that, and it was really cool seeing everybody at the games again. And Leo, I guess you missed the first half, but you were able to, get back for the second half. And also tell me about your predictions after you give us your experience.
Yeah, man. I just want to say that I feel like the Rowdy Soccer Club is just growing and growing even more, and they need to expand their parking, their parking, restrictions or something like that, because it took me the entire first half to find parking, and the parking spot I did find was a 12-minute walk. And at first, I took my girlfriend to the game, and at first, we were thinking like, maybe we should just leave, but then we were like, you know what, let's just go. We paid money for this. Let's just go to the game, and we did. And let me tell you, James, the second half was not short of entertainment at all, man. We seen the Rowdies score another goal. We've seen a red card, and I think most of all, and we're talking about this, in the pre-show, in our pre-meeting, but there was a streaker on the field, and that's probably the first or second time I've ever witnessed that, and it's just crazy that it actually happened. It's a good thing that my girlfriend and I decided to still go to the game. What did you think of that, James? It was just crazy, man.
It was crazy. I didn't really see him get onto the field, but then, he obviously made his way through a big portion of it. So that was unfortunate for the security staff. And then I was sitting next to my fiance and I said, "Hey, there go the police." And she looks up and she's like, "Wait, why are there police?" And I was like, how did you miss that? It's impossible. But somehow she managed to.
The only player not wearing a jersey is no way you can miss it. But moving on from that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, in regards to our predictions, James, you predicted a 4-1 win. I predicted a 3-0 win. Once Roddy scored that second goal, I was literally thinking like, oh my God, I'm going to be 2 for 2. Perfect score, perfect prediction. I'm going to have 6 points to start out the season. Unfortunately, the Rowdies could not get that third goal. They had some opportunities, but they couldn't get that third goal. But you know what, James, I'll settle for the point, and I think both of us will settle for the point. I think in total, I have 4 points, and I believe you have, is it 1 or 2 points?
I have 2 points because we did both at least predict a draw last week, even if only you got the actual scoreline right there. But yeah. So we are on 4 points for you and 2 points for me. And if everybody else is keeping track, we are kind of on point or on par with the Rowdies right now, or at least you are.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah, man, and hopefully we just keep it going. I know last year we were terrible at these, man, but it's a good way to start. But although we're starting off on the right foot, we do have to talk about some bad news. And James, I kind of want to say I don't want people to hate me, so I'm gonna let you take the stick for it.
Robert Castellanos is likely out for 12 weeks now. That is what we have seen from people, and I guess that is going to affect our back line, obviously. But we did get a new back line for this week, and we do have some stuff to talk about in terms of, how that lineup actually looked. So right before we get into that, I just want to say, please follow us. You can do that on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, and you can do so at RBLR Sports. And obviously, please like and subscribe to our podcast on all major podcast platforms. We appreciate when you do so. Now, we will go ahead and get into this game that we were just talking about. It was the Rowdies' first win of the season as well, because it is only our second game. And I just want to quickly start with the atmosphere. It was great to be back. Like I said, see everyone. That is super cool. I was, talking to a lot of other fans outside of just, our RBLR sports family here. There were all sorts of people that I had met previously and got to see again after several months out. And that was just super cool. And talking to people in person that we had, even interviewed for the podcast. So shout out to everybody that we saw out there. I really thought it was awesome to see you. But we will get into the actual game itself here, because the USL regular season and the USL Eastern Conference banners were actually unfurled for the game. And then there was a TIFO that came up, and I don't want to spoil that TIFO. If you haven't seen it online, go check out the supporters group accounts on Twitter. They will obviously have pictures there, and they were supporting the boys in the green and gold. And those boys for the starting 11 are CJ Cochran in net, Jordan Scarlett, Connor Antley, Aaron Guillen as the defenders, Sebastian Dalgard, Lewis Hilton, Lawrence Wyke, and Leo Fernandez in the midfield, with Juan Tejada, Sebastian Guenzati, and Jake LaCava up top. So that's obviously a pretty big starting point when we are, looking at what we actually have to talk about here. Is this very interesting starting 11?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very interesting. And James, you and I were talking about last week, with Castellanos gone, we were thinking, who's going to fill that missing center back role. And when you asked me this question, I said, well, the priority has to be Connor Antley, one, because you have players who can replace him on the right wing back role. And then Lawrence White, two. The reason why I say he was second in line is because, he really brings that energy into that midfield, which, Lewis Hilton might do a good job of it, but he might not be as energetic as Lawrence Wyke is. And he's someone that you can't really replace on the field. And Timmy Mel, who we'll get into later in the show, he's someone that, like we said, he came from Loudoun, who were the worst team in the USL. We're not sure if he's really up to the billing yet in Neil's eyes, or how exactly Neil wants him to function within this side. So that's why we were talking about how Antley has to be that choice, and he was. And then it's a consistent midfield in regards to Dalgard, Hilton, Wyke, and Fernandez. But up top, I was a little surprised to see, not see Dos Santos. I wasn't surprised with La Cava decision to start him, because you and I, and even Dan, when he was on a show with us, we talked about how good he was in preseason. And one thing I was surprised is that Jake Arman still has yet to start, because there was a lot of hype surrounding him. As soon as the Rowdies announced that he will be joining us this season, he has yet to make a start. He did make appearances off the bench this past game. But I think another surprise appearance for me was Juan Tejada. He was someone that not completely forgotten, but I just felt like, we signed Jake Arman, we signed Jake LaCava. I feel like there was a reason for that, because maybe Neil's, seeing that these are kind of upgrades to the weapons he already has. But, you give Tejada a chance, you give LaCava a chance, and they both, in my opinion, made the most of their chances. And at the end, it paid off with this lineup, James.
Yeah, it paid off pretty immediately, especially with the person that you just spoke about last. Juan Tejada actually got the first goal of the game within 40 seconds. If I'm not mistaken, the official count was 36 seconds into the game. So I don't know that everybody had even taken their seats at this point. I was lucky enough to have done so. And, my friends and I were sitting there for a little bit before the game, but really not that much before the actual kickoff. If we had been just, literally a minute late to our seats, we would have missed that goal. But
people were still buying their chicken tenders baskets in the food trucks.
Yeah, that, or hopefully some merch. But it was the best way to start a home opener, I would say. You can really do very little better than that. But it was a great goal that the Rowdies scored. The ball was sent out wide to Sebastian Dalgard, originally from Lewis Hilton, who will come up later. Sebastian Dalgard cut it back, and when it got to Sebastian Guenzati, from that ball Lewis Hilton played, he was able to beat his man after a very nice touch. It was a beautiful controlling touch to bring it down before he beat that man. So Sebastian Guenzati is able to carry the ball into the box. He cuts it back for Juan Tejada, who I said to my friend when we were there, I thought that he actually had kind of lost control of the ball. I thought that it was going to get away from him, and he was still able to put it past the goalie and get it into the net. And that's when we all celebrated, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, I missed the first half, but I did see the highlights. And when I seen the goal of Juan Tejadas, I thought his first touch was too heavy. And even if it was, he did a great job to stay focused and stay composed to, finish that chance. But, from my takeaway, and I'm pretty sure you agree with this too, James, is that front three were really energetic. Even though I got there in the second half, like they were still pushing as if, the game just begun, as if, they still were searching for that first goal of the game. They were just pressing. And then, you see Jake LaCava and Juan Tejada not being scared to go at defenders, taking defenders 1v1, doing some nice sneak up play with Seba Gonzalez. Then you got the midfield coming in too. And it helps a lot when you have players like Leo Fernandez and Sebastian Dalgard, having those other options on the wings to help you deliver crosses in the box, or link up some play, or help be even more defenders in 1v1 situation. And to me, not only was it good tactically, but I feel like from a fan perspective, that was some really good entertainment.
That's actually a very good point because something that people will probably complain about a lot, maybe not on my end or your end, but people who are new to the sport, they will say they might not be used to, I guess the nuances of soccer and what it takes to understand the tactics, all that kind of stuff. So what do you want to see? You probably want to see a lot of chances. This game had a lot of chances. There was one point where I need to find exactly where it was, but Sebastian Guenzati has this amazing chance where the ball comes into him from the right wing. And I believe it was a first-time pass from Sebastian Dalgard. And Sebastian Guenzati then flicks it behind his leg and nearly puts it in past the goalkeeper. He actually gets just enough of a hand on it to push it onto the post. There were tons of little chances like that. And the fullbacks, as you said, they had just tons of success going up and down the wing, trying to, actually swing in these very nice crosses. And it turned into a lot of those really high opportunity or high percentage chances. Of course, there were plenty that kind of just went into nowhere, but it wasn't like it was short on entertainment value, as you said. It was awesome to watch. It was awesome to see, not only just as a fan, but if you think about it from how the Rowdies are doing and how they're playing out there. I don't think that Indy 11 have really put it together, so to speak, this early in the season. But if they're doing this to Indy 11, then it means that they have the building blocks to do better against better teams. Anyway, that is a little farther along into the episode that we want to get into, some actual questions and analysis. But to continue to talk about the game here, like I said, the Rowdies just had several chances. They did not get anything really going in terms of another goal. There was that one flick on behind the back, behind the back leg, as I mentioned. But we go into the second half 1-0 up, and then the Rowdies start early from there. So, Leo, you were there for this one, and I will let you take it away as we move into our second goal.
Yeah, like I said, the good thing that I got to witness this, because you have here, James, a former Orlando City homegrown player, Raul Aguilera. He got sent off, but I believe it was after Jake LaCava scored his first goal for the club on his first start for the club in the season. And it comes, it was a really good play because the cross came from the left. I'm not sure if it was what you could come in and interrupt me, but it might have been Leo Fernandez or someone else who gave in a cross on the left side. And then, once the ball just went over everyone's head, I thought the play was dead. But, Juan Tejada, as he was doing all game, just stayed alert, stayed alive. And, he puts that ball back in a dangerous area. And there you have Jake LaCava, who, from my scene with that in that second half, was just always trying to find himself in really good positions. Not only just trying to stay wide, but work his way into that 6-yard box to try to, get himself a goal. And, and very early on in the second half, he did. And he deserved it. And you could just tell how much it meant to him by his celebration and celebrating with the team. And then, things in the Indy 11's perspective, they got from bad to worse because Raul Aguilera, someone who's already on a yellow, when a soccer player's on a yellow card, you got to play it safe. You can't go into any 50-50 challenges, going all in, thinking you're going to win it, because if you don't, you're risking that second yellow. And that's exactly what happened when he went with the studs up on a challenge with Lewis Hilton. Although he didn't really clip him too hard, it was still a dangerous and reckless challenge. He did put the safety of Lewis Hilton at risk. So, it was the right call from the referee to send him off, 2 yellow cards. And then, we had all of our substitutions between the 67 and 77 minutes. Fortunately, there were no more goals. But like I said, James, there were plenty of chances. And, it was really good for Neo to put in either new signings or players like Jan Ecker, been there for a while, get them more time on the field. Let them, enjoy the moment in regards to feeling the energy at Outland Stadium, getting used to this kind of environment, and I'm pretty sure it'll help them with their experience. It'll help them moving forward in the season. And it was just a complete dominant display from the Rowdies from the first minute to the last minute. They had lots of possessions. Indy 11, I feel like they have about like I would say a 5-minute span in which they tackled Aaron Gee inside, but their shots were kind of weak. They had a really good chance off a corner, and it was a really good save by CJ Cochran, who someone I will mention later, but he just really impressed me. Even like physically, he's just a really big guy. So when you have someone like that in a goal, it's just gonna be hard for the opposition to put a goal past him. But I was impressed with that save. I was impressed with the back line to stay focused throughout the 90 minutes and keep the clean sheet. That's also very important. But overall, James, it was a very important first win, and doing so at home, it's always a win-win. The first home game of the season, you just build off of this. And like I said, James, we have all the building blocks on the field to go show a performance in which we were dominant from the first minute to the last, keep a clean sheet, and keep Indy 11 without any threats the entire game.
Yeah, the big thing for me was just, again, I said already, and I don't want to belabor the point anymore because it's so early in the season. Indy 11 really are not there yet. And they will improve. They have a very good coach. They have some good building blocks in terms of players, but they're not there yet. So
yeah, some of the usual best players are out injured too.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot going on in terms of their roster, but the usual caveats apply. Just like when we might be able to say, we did well against New York Red Bulls or whatever. I don't think it's quite that level, but yes, we do need to keep that in mind. The thing, though, is when we do play teams like that haven't really put things together, you definitely want to make sure that you are the best team out there and probably by a good margin. And I think that the Rowdies absolutely did prove that. Now, to back up that point that I'm making, the dominance that the Rowdies displayed really came through in a lot of the numbers as well. And I just want to go through those really quickly with you guys listening. So possession stats were 69% to 31% in favor of the Rowdies. Obviously, that is a pretty good number. Indy did not have a lot of success at keeping the ball, but they also didn't have a lot of success at winning the ball off of us. Very good things there. Naturally, what you want to see. If you can turn that possession, though, into chances, that is another important factor. So let's go through the shots and the big chances. The shots were 12-5 in favor of the Rowdies, and the big chances were 4-1 in favor of the Rowdies. So we just need to keep all of those things in mind, in addition to what we're talking about with that dominance and how well the Rowdies did. There's one further number that I really want to emphasize here, because this is going to show just how big the gulf was between these two teams in this game. So passes obviously are very important because soccer includes a lot of passes. How many passes did each team make? Let's just look at that really quickly. Not all of these were successful, but I will say a high percent of these passes were good for both teams, just to give that little bonus to the actual numbers themselves. 689 passes overall for the Rowdies and 300 for Indy 11. We had over 2 times more passes than they did in a game that is, again, 90 minutes. Soccer's a lot of passing. You have to really think they obviously did not have a lot of the ball. And that's what the Rowdies want as a dominant team. If you look at one thing specifically related to the passing, the Rowdies were never really bothered when they had possession. Sebastian Dalgard played 71 minutes, and he had a 100% pass accuracy rating. I mean, those kinds of numbers just speak for themselves. Obviously, Indy 11 did not have a lot going for themselves on the defensive side, and but it's going to get better for them. But it was not on this past day.
Yeah, I mean, the first word that comes to my mind reading those statistics or hearing those is just complete dominance. Like just dominance overall, because like I said, from the first minute to the last, you never lose focus, and you really took the game to Indy 11. And as you said, James, they're not really at their best right now, so you got to make the most of it if you're the Rowdies. And you absolutely did. You have more possession, more shots, more big chances, more passes. And you have a player on the field who did not misplace a single pass and has been on the field for more than an hour. It's really impressive. And, I know it's very early in the season, but these are really, really great and promising signs moving forward.
Absolutely. So that will get us through the game, and now we are going to get into some questions here that will actually break it down a little further than just those statistics that we just went through and what happened. in a chronological order. Let's talk about the three defenders at the back. How did you feel, Leo, about those three defenders? Obviously, we had seen, at different times we had seen Guillen play with Antley, and I believe Scarlett play with Antley at the back, but I don't know if those three have played all as defenders at one time. So what did you see from them?
At first I was kind of like, I know Antley was the obvious choice to be in that anchor defense, but one thing that stood out to me was his physicality, because he's not really that tall and he's not really, a big body presence like a Forrest Lasso or a Castellanos. He has a body type for a fullback, mainly than the center back, but he really impressed me, and I feel like his speed really does help him a lot in that position, because he can help recover balls, and also just hearing his communication as if he's been in that position for quite some time for the Rowdies was really impressive as well. But overall, he did well to maintain that back line, communicate well with Aaron and Jordan, to make sure nothing got passed by them. His position was really, really great. We know he's usually a right wing back for the team, and to implement more of a center back kind of role, it might not be an easy task as many people might think. But I was really impressed with that back three. Aaron Guillen looking sharp as always. Jordan Scarlett looking sharp as always. So, I was really impressed with the back three, and that's what it has to look like moving forward until Castellanos comes back into from 3 months or so. If I'm a Rowdies fan, I'm not having too many worries. I'm feeling kind of confident. And, if we face a tougher team in our conference, like I said, I'm feeling confident. I'm not having too many worries with Antley back there pairing up with Aaron and Jordan. What are your thoughts, James?
Pretty similar, I must say. I thought before Robert Castellanos came in on loan, we were getting pretty close to the season. They hadn't made any signings yet. Well, probably we're going to go with somebody that we already have. Antley was the natural choice, as you had already alluded to last week when we talked about Robert Castellanos and his injury. So now that he's obviously out of the picture and we're just back to those same players that we had originally started with, it just makes sense. And I think that they obviously have a good amount of familiarity with each other. It's not like these are players who are just thrown in together, which was actually kind of the case with Robert Castellanos, as well as he looked for those first couple of minutes. But I can't really be, I can't be upset with anything that I saw out there. They're going to be stiffer tests, and we're going to have to see how he does in those competitions. And I assume and I hope, obviously, that everything will go very well there. But based on this, there really isn't too much for me to complain about, at least at this stage. So I will move now into our next question. And we talked about the three at the back, but what about the three up front? Leo, what did you feel about the guys who started up top, which were, again, Juan Tejada, Sebastian Guenzati, and Jake LaCava?
I love them so much. At first, like I said, when I seen the lineup was coming out, I was kind of confused. I was wondering how was this going to work. Was LaCava really going to stay out wide the entire game? Was he going to come in more as play number 10 role? Was Tejada going to always stay out wide or play as a striker as well? I was really confused, had questions, but I feel like I got more answers as the game went on, and I was just really impressed. When you have someone like Sebastian Guenzati who could link and play and just be a threat in the box and distract defenders, leave up space for players like LaCava and Tejada, who love going after defenders, love 1v1 situations, so showcasing their skills. I really did love it. I would say I would prefer Dos Santos there still, because I feel like he has a kind of skill set that's very rare among strikers in USL. He's quick. His physicality is great. He's a big guy. He knows how to find the back of the net. 9 times out of 10. But seeing this back three, I was really impressed. I did like him, and I feel like when I seen this back three, if we're facing a tougher team and Neo comes out with the plan of defend and hit him on a counterattack, this is probably the perfect front three to go to hit on a counter, because LaCava and Tejada do have some pace to them, and they could really hit teams heavy on a counter. And you have someone like Sebastian Guenzati holding up play or linking up and also being that final piece in the final third. It's deadly, and I was really impressed with that front three.
Yeah, I was also obviously very impressed with them. It wasn't just that, two of them got on the score sheet, and I should say all three of them with assists. All three of them got on the score sheet. I shouldn't say it. I shouldn't describe it that way. But one thing that I noted about them was just the energy that they brought to the game. And obviously, Juan Tejada is a guy. Yeah, he's a guy who is known for being a very energetic presence out there. He was one of the players that we interviewed, the player that we interviewed after the game, in fact, as part of the press conference. And I kind of mentioned it, when you're out there, you kind of have a reputation for, important part of the Rowdies press, because you can make yourself a nuisance to all of these defenders when they have the ball. And he kind of recognized that. He said that that's part of his game, essentially. And he just, runs all over the place. It was kind of interesting to see how much switching they did. It wasn't really, that they were locked into any one spot of the field. And there was a lot of fluidity between the three of them. You saw Juan Tejada popping up on the right. Sebastian Guenzati also popped up on the right for the first goal. And Jake LaCava obviously also was all over the place. I think Neil Collins, that is, was giving them free reign to just, go about wherever you're going to go and make sure that if the defenders have the ball, you're putting them under pressure, because obviously they are all capable of doing that. I think also really quickly about Juan Tejada, when we asked Neil Collins about that after the game, everyone is aware, and Juan Tejada even admitted it himself. He had a tough year personally last year. So obviously, I think everyone watched the team and followed them is aware that he didn't get as much game time as he wanted to get this year. Honestly, I think he looked fitter. I think he looked, even more energetic out there than where he did previously, and that led to not only a goal but an assist out there. And when Neil Collins said, specifically about Juan Tejada, what he thought of this, he said that this goal for Juan has been coming for a very long time, and I think that everybody can recognize how true that is.
Yeah, if I may, James, it looked like, for me, from Tejada, it looked like he was playing with a point to prove. Playing with I belong in this team. I'm still here. I still have my talent that I originally had. I'm still the same player. That was the main reason of why the Rowdies signed me in the first place to this team, because I could provide that threat in the attacking sense of the game. And also, I think what really helped with Akava and Tejada too is that, you really have Dalgard on one side, Leo Fernandez on one side. They're operating that wide space, that wingback space, attracting defenders out. And that open space right there, that's just, food for them to eat up and score, deliver crosses in the box, stay away for second chances, and to also, get on the score sheet as they both did. And, we talk about wingbacks. We have to talk about Lewis Hilton, who, James, I appreciate you agree with me. He had, he had an incredible game delivering passes left and right to the wingbacks. But what stood out to me most is that, when he was switched the ball to the wingbacks, then we seen Leo Fernandez and Sebastian Dalgard, take up the time to dribble and to add players and beat them 1v1, deliver nice crosses in the box. Do you think we should expect this more of Lewis Hilton?
I think that Lewis Hilton has turned himself into an incredible player at this level based on specifically these types of moves. He will get the ball in front of the defenders and he will take a second, look up and see who has, the most space in front of them. Now, obviously, we do have some incredibly talented wingbacks as well. Sebastian Dalgard is keeping Dayon Harris on the bench so far this season, and Leo Fernandez has just come back, and he is essentially a Rowdies legend, up with the best of them, making 100 appearances for this team. So you have to look at, not only Lewis Hilton's ability to find them, but then their ability to get themselves in space and do something with it. So I think that we can definitely expect to see more of this. And, if you can build up some confidence against maybe a bit of a punching bag in Indy 11, then maybe you can take that into a better game and just keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And, talking about Lewis Hilton, James, this might kind of be a funny question. Does it frustrate you a little bit when we see him on the edge of the 18-yard box and it feels like he has a clear-cut chance, not really clear-cut, but he has the opportunity to, curve one in the top right corner or take a shot, but instead, he takes that touch to deliver a pass to the other side to the wingback, whoever's on that side. Does that frustrate you a little bit? Do you say to yourself, just have a shot at it, man?
It can be, and I can understand the issue there is probably just the percentages. Neil Collins is going to be a person, if I can speculate on this, because I guess I don't know for sure, but he's going to be a person that looks at things in terms of, high probability. He might not have certain numbers or anything. I'm sure that, it might not get that granular, but you have to think of probabilities when you're considering what option is going to be the best option. Shots from outside the box are going to be low probability no matter where you're shooting from, but every so often, sure, he should definitely have a crack at it.
Yeah, and the same thing is with Lawrence White, man. Like there's been times where I've
Oh
seen
yeah.
him
Oh yeah.
like just take like sometimes he does, and they're pretty good efforts. But like like just obviously I'm pretty sure he's following the game plan to spread it side to side as the Rowdies usually do. But sometimes I really do want to see them take shots more often. See if one banger just goes in because that would be it will make the stadium go wild wherever they're playing at. But moving forward, James, we talked about Timmy Mel and his situation here at the club. I'm not sure if you asked Neil about this, and I'm pretty sure even if you asked him, he wouldn't give you a straight up answer. That's just the kind of a manager he is dealing with the media. But Timmy Mel was someone who I thought would at least make the bench for this game because the center back you brought in to replace Forrest Lasso got hurt his first game and he's out for 3 months. Understandably so. You put in Connor Antley there, and if not, you put Lawrence White there because they've known the team for a while. But you started Connor Antley on the field as a center back, and you also started Lawrence White on the field as one of those center mids. But yet there was no room for Timmy Mel on the bench at all. There was no really center back on the bench. What's up with his situation at the club, James?
I don't know at this point. I don't think that he is out injured or anything like that. So I got to say, at the moment, it doesn't look the best situation. I was sitting with our lovely producer Eureka during the game, and that was one of the things that we had talked about. Actually, he said that if you look at the bench and you look at obviously the starting 11, what you just said, all of our center back options are already out there. So what do we have? Well, if Timmy Mel's not on the bench, then we actually don't have anything. You better hope that only one of those players gets injured. But yeah, it's gonna have to I guess be that way until Timmy Mel has proven his worth, and maybe that just isn't yet.
Yeah. Again, this is purely speculation that what we could think could be a possible possible reason for him not to be included. But I've said James, I've said in our way too early predictions that I think the flop or the player that might not stand out too much for the team is going to be Timmy Mel. And I know it's early, but it's starting to shape up that way. I hope things do turn out on the better side for him. I feel like Castellanos' injury might help him, get a starting spot, get some appearances. We're not seeing that quite yet. Hopefully that does turn around. Another concern, James, is that, we were talking about how there were missed chances in the game. Although the Rowdies did win 2-0 comfortably, but going back to those missed chances, you think we should be possibly concerned about those opportunities because, playing against tougher oppositions, we're going to have to put those kind of chances away, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about the first goal that we scored, obviously that is good build-up, but you have to think about, the way the ball nearly got away from Juan Tejada. Maybe a better defender is able to put himself in between Tejada and the ball and actually block that off. But there were higher percentage chances that the Rowdies were unable to convert. So there were also a lot of positions that the wingbacks got themselves into where either the ball was not sufficient in terms of its quality, or when it was put into the net or into the box, obviously, then the finish was not of the sufficient quality, and we ended up with a no goal in many situations where I would have expected one. So it's early, and I just wanted to make a note of it because this is not something that this is something that we did see last year. It was something that I noted most infamously, I guess, in our 6-0 win against the New York Red Bulls. 6-0 win, obviously that doesn't really matter at that point, but it was more indicative of the pattern that I think that we were picking up on where, that game could have been 10-0 possibly, but
Yeah.
the missed chances in certain situations actually come up to bite you in bigger games where there are better chances that you lose out on. And hopefully it's just early season, so we shall see.
Yeah, nothing some training can't fix, right?
Exactly.
Moving forward, James, finally the question that everyone's been waiting for. After this, we'll move on to our hot take segment. But I guess I'll go first with this question. Who was my man of the match for the game? James, you know me. I always love to take the easy way out, man. Whenever a player has a goal and an assist in the game, there can only be one correct answer. No other correct answer. Any other answer is purely wrong, James. So for this game, I'm going with Juan Tejada. That man was a monster on the field. I know he's only like 5'6", 5'7", but he was playing like he was LeBron James, or if this was a basketball court, he'd be playing like he was LeBron James. He was playing like a Lionel Messi out there. He was so energetic, having really fun playing again, on the field. You could tell what that goal meant to him, the way he celebrated. He got the Rowdies started off on the right foot. He got a goal he deserved, and he kept the play alive, and got was rewarded with an assist. And what more can I say, man? He was just a menace on the field.
Now, Leo, how wrong would a person be to go with somebody else? I'm gonna have to go ahead and do some fun argumentation here. Obviously, for all of the listeners, Leo and I are on the same page with most things, but here I am going to have to take a different turn and go with another player.
You're wrong.
As much as Juan Tejada obviously did have a very good game, here is my argument for a different player. Juan Tejada did get himself into very good positions and did do good things when he got into those positions. But who created all of those situations that Juan Tejada was able to benefit from? Obviously, the answer for me is Lewis Hilton. So if you look at long balls in the game, Lewis Hilton got 8 out of 12 long balls accurate. He had as well a 95% pass accuracy. That's for the whole game, not just the long balls. And if you look at the defensive side, where he was actually the most efficient in this game, as opposed to the attacking side, he had 8 recoveries. So he created all of the chances where the wingbacks put the balls into good areas that Juan Tejada did get on the end of 2, 1 in a goal and 1 in assist. But if you got to, if you're looking back a little,
he didn't assist. He didn't score or assist.
But if you look at who's creating these situations, I'm going to take Lewis Hilton. Lewis Hilton is my man of the match.
First of all, James, Juan Tejada did not have a very good game. He had a great game. Second of all, Seba Gonzalez gave that pass to Tejada. And third of all, Tejada gave that pass to LaCava. But I do see your point. However, you are still wrong, my man. Good try, though. Good try. Let's see if you convince any
Well, maybe I was just maybe it was a little bit contrarian instinct in me. I'm not entirely sure, but this is where I'm coming from for that one anyway. But maybe I already overdid the hot take. We'll have to see, because we do still have our hot takes to get through, and I'm going to go through mine first because I really want to see where you take yours. It sounds like a very interesting topic here, but mine is just very quickly. It's super simple. We won the first of the 4 games that I said in the last episode we would win 4 in a row. So I'm just going to go ahead and say we are going to win 3 more games at least after this, and we will complete that 4-game winning streak like I predicted. That is my hot take, and I will turn it over to you now, Leo, to get through yours.
Yeah, I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. I know I've mentioned this last season. During, I believe it was the Rowdies hosted a Latino night during one of their games. But basically, mine is that, I feel like there still needs to be more minority outreach, to have more diversity in the stands within fans. Because, when I arrived, obviously the stadium was already packed. However, looking around, there still was not much diversity. And I know the Tampa Bay United is, Rowdies. It's basically the Rowdies Youth Academy at this point. However, when you reach out, if that's the only kind of youth academy or youth soccer players you're reaching out to, then you're not giving the same opportunity to kids and in other communities where there's more diversity. For example, Waimama, Riverview, Ruskin, even the West Florida Flame teams and Brandon, there's a lot of diversity within those youth teams over there. And if you're not really reaching out to them or trying to promote yourself in those kind of situations, and you're just gonna have the same kind of turnout. Although it is a large turnout, you're not going to have much diversity. And most of the players on your team, not I would say from that start lineup, I think about like only 2 or 3 of them were Americans. The other ones that were from South America, from Latin America, and from Europe. So I feel like you need to have more representation in the crowd. And I've seen, when I was, I didn't tell you, James, but after the game, my girlfriend and I, we the reason why I came up with this is because at the end of the game, me and my girlfriend, we waited on the sidelines of the pitch. We talked to the players a little bit, took a couple of pictures and stuff like that. But the players we talked to the most was Aaron Guillen, Juan Tejada, and Leo Fernandez. And we communicated through them in Spanish, and I felt like they were really interested in talking to us more and having longer conversations with us than they did with the fans who didn't speak Spanish. I felt like they were like kind of happy, or not really happy, but like they were enjoying that there were, there were fans who were talking to them with, similar backgrounds in regards to, their language and the kind of ethnicity that they have. Juan Tejada, really great guy, communicating with him in Spanish. Although Leo Fernandez does speak Portuguese, Spanish is pretty similar to Portuguese, so we communicated pretty well. And Aaron Guillen, he's a Mexican player. My girlfriend and I are both Mexican as well, so that was an easy way to communicate with him as well. And I just feel like the more players you have who are from diverse backgrounds, whether they're African American or Latino, the more comfortable these players are going to have, signing autographs, taking pictures, communicating with fans once the game's over. And I just feel like it just helps everyone overall. It's a win-win situation for everyone overall if the Rowdies can bring in more diversity in the stands. Because, you reached a USL Championship final for 2 years in a row. Your club is growing very quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a large turnout again next weekend or the weekend coming up, sorry. So I feel like, you really need to go out there and promote this kind of stuff to other communities full of diversity to bring that, same kind of environment within the stands.
Yeah, I think that that's a very important point. As you said, there is a lot of diversity on the field. There's a lot of diversity around the field. If you're talking about all the surrounding areas, it's really important that the Rowdies try to get their, get everything to reflect what is their environment. I appreciate what you're saying there, and I think that it's absolutely important for them to, try to recreate that as best they can. But we will move on from our hot takes for the moment to get in. Yeah, we will move that into the standings now. And we will get through this pretty quickly because there's still not a lot of permutations, only 2 games into the season. The Rowdies are in 4th place in the East. We are currently behind Louisville City in 3rd and Pittsburgh Riverhounds in 1st. Not too weird there, but there is one thing that's pretty weird. I skipped over 2nd place because 2 games into the season, Loudoun United have beat Indy 11 and the New York Red Bulls 2nd team. So we are behind 6-point Loudoun United. Very interesting, but of course it's still very early on.
I'm hearing the word dark horses.
I don't know about that.
They're going to be a dark horse, man. I'm telling you.
Based on this early form, they would be, but we shall see how it goes on for the rest of the season. We are going to be playing the 13th and the 12th place teams later this week. That is respective of our scheduling. And just one more quick point on that standings update. Phoenix lost this past week to Las Vegas Lights, and because of that, they sit in 8th place in the middle of the West, which a little bit of an LOL if you ask me. I'm going to turn it over now. Leo, you have a preview of 2 games to help me get through, and I will let you get it going.
Definitely, yeah. I'll do the first game. Like I said, James, we play 2 games this week. We do play Atlanta United 2 on Wednesday and Hartford Athletic on Saturday. Now, Atlanta United 2, they are Atlanta United's reserve team, which for anybody who doesn't know, Atlanta United currently plays in MLS right now. But the reserve team, Atlanta United 2, they have 2 losses in 2 games. They had a loss to Louisville City away and a loss against New York Red Bulls 2 at home. So from the looks of it, from the first 2 games, they look like they're sticking with their youth academy. Most of the lineup are academy players. If that's the way they want to head in the direction for the season, then so be it. I just feel like you can't really plan to be successful in this league if you just plan to have your academy players. Because I feel like you have players who play for teams like the Rowdies, Louisville, Phoenix Rising, who will hurt you because you lack that inexperience. And 2, I just hope that these young players, that they understand that, the teams that they're going up against are currently at a higher level because they have that experience. So I just hope not that I have a soft spot for them, because don't get me wrong, when the Rowdies do play Atlanta United too, I'm not going to like them at all. But, I hope that these young players, take these losses as lessons and stay strong mentally because, at the end of the day, teams like the Rowdies are only playing to get points and, do their job basically. But, this game will be at 7:30. It will be on ESPN Plus. So make sure you tune in. It's a midweek game. Everyone loves midweek games. You get home out of work, sit down, cook yourself some dinner, or, buy some food. You get home, watch it on your couch, in your room, wherever you want to watch it, and, enjoy some Wednesday night football, if you will. But with all that being said, James, let's do our first predictions for this Wednesday night game. I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, I'm going first on this one. I am going to do what you did last week. I'm going to take it away from you, and I'm going to give a 3-0 win prediction against Atlanta United 2.
That's James, I was going to guess a high scoring game, but I feel like those missed opportunities might not be resolved yet. And I do see some squad rotation, so I'm going to go with another 2-0 win against Atlanta United too.
I think either of those would still be it'd be a good result, obviously, but I think either of those is a very doable scoreline, let's say.
Exactly.
So I will take over for the next game here, and we are also playing on Saturday night. We have a game hosting Hartford Athletic, and it will be at 7:30. If you can make it, obviously you should, but it will, of course, be on ESPN Plus as well. They will not have Hartford, that is. They will not have played one game. They will only have played one game by then, and that was a 2-1 away loss to Pittsburgh Riverhounds. I should say Pittsburgh Riverhounds, they are leading the East right now. They've only played 2 games, of course, but they are a very good team generally. We shouldn't read into that game, that loss, as anything really, too indicative of how Hartford is going to be over the course of the rest of this season. That is a good team. They are at home. They don't lose too many games, regardless of what year you're playing them. That's just how it goes. So Hartford is still probably going to be a very good team when we come up against them. If you look at their recent off-season acquisitions, they have picked up a couple of very good Jamaican midfielders. So those include Andre Lewis. He is a player who has a bit of MLS experience. He was drafted a couple of years ago, and he's bounced around the lower leagues, but he's definitely putting it together. And they also have Danny Barrera from last year. He is, just a generally good player at this level, and he has always succeeded, whatever team he's played for in this league. So it's not like they have any dearth of talent or anything like that compared to the Rowdies. The one other player that I wanted to mention going into this game was Juan Obregon. He has started the season with that 1 goal away to Pittsburgh, and this is after a very strong season last year in which he earned himself call-ups to the Honduran Olympic team and the Honduran national team. Honduras is not doing particularly well on the international stage at the moment, but getting a call-up from the USL Championship means you're doing a good job here. So I do want to make sure that everyone is aware they are going to be a handful, especially probably that Juan Obregon up top. And I still think, though, despite everything that I just said, Neil Collins is obviously going to want to win this game. When you're a team that is going to be trying to win the league overall, win the championship at the end of the playoffs, you are going to want to win every single home game. That's just how it works to be at this level. And I think that the Rowdies, that this is going to be their goal. Make sure that you beat Hartford on Saturday night. And I think they will do it. We are going to get into our predictions, but first I do want to mention it will also be a fireworks night after the game. So if you get a ticket, you will get to enjoy that. Unfortunately, I cannot attend this one this week, so I will miss out. But I think that everybody who does go will obviously have a good time. Moving into our predicts now for this second game against Hartford Athletic. Leo, you let me go in the one that you previewed. I will let you go first in the one that you previewed, and you tell me what you would like to see for the Rowdies.
Yeah, man. I just want to say, too, that I won't be attending the game this Saturday night, but I do want to attend a firework night game. Hopefully the Rowdies have another event like that. I'll definitely go to that one. And, James, I told you our past episode last week that I do think the Rowdies are only going to win 3 out of the first 5 games. I'm not sure if they'll lose one, but they'll only win 3 out of those first 5. Last season, they lost to Hartford Athletic 1-0 at home. So with all that being said, I'm going for a 2-2 draw this time around against Hartford Athletic.
A 2-2 draw. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I have to stick to my prediction of them beating Hartford here. So I will say this is going to be a 2-1 win.
Well, at least we both have close games in our predictions, right?
Oh, I do expect it to be close. That much I can say. But yeah, that is what we're looking at for our prediction. So everybody, if you have your own predictions, obviously, please let us know on Twitter. We will be keeping track, Leo and I, of the results for our own, and we will let you know how it goes over the course of the next episode and forever on after that. Now, let's move into our last segment here, the One More Thing segment. And I just want to say, everyone, obviously, liking and subscribing is free, and we appreciate when you do that. But if you think that you might need some new threads for this upcoming year, the rest of the Rowdies games are coming up, and maybe you want to show your support for the Rowdies and RBLR Sports. That would be super cool if you did. You can do that by heading over to shop.rblrsports.com and just checking out all of the stuff that we have got going on there. Our producer Eureka has got some awesome designs going on, and I think that they are pretty cool. But if you would like to check it out, there will be a link in the description. You can also use a promo code to get 10% off. Not too bad, right? That promo code is COYR. COYR for Come On You Rowdies, which is what we say every week. And I want to say before we go, also the Rowdies had an attendance announced as 5,192 people at the home opener last week. I think that is a pretty damn good attendance, Leo. I mean, you obviously were there. I was there with Eureka as well. It was a great atmosphere.
It was an amazing atmosphere, James. When I walked in the stadium, seeing all the stands packed, it was just really great. I would not be surprised at all if fans came back for this Saturday night's game and we reach 5,000 again. I just hope it kind of stays like this on a regular basis because, the bigger the fan attendance, I'm pretty sure the better the product is going to be on the field for the Rowdies. They're just going to feel that energy and motivation moving forward.
Yeah, I think those things go hand in hand, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
One more thing before we move on. The player who has the record for most goals in the league has now hit the 100 mark. So a very quick congratulations to Dane Kelly. He has now got 100 goals in the USL Championship over the course of his whole career. He did so for Pittsburgh Riverhounds. So in that sense, we don't really care that much, but it is still a very cool milestone, even team that everybody listening to this podcast hates. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And Leo, we've got something, or I shouldn't say we. This is something that you have going on here. Please tell us, me and the listeners, about what you have been working on here.
Yeah, so for those listeners who don't know, I do have my own show called In the Loop with Leo. And my next episode coming out, it's an exclusive interview with Aaron Guillen. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. This episode's mainly going to be about what Aaron Guillen is doing off the field. Usually when I interview professional athletes, I tend to not make it really, like on the field related. I kind of want to know, who they are as a person more so than an athlete. And we'll be talking about his Win Your Mindset initiative, or should I say Coaching Alliance. So he works with any athletes at any level, helps them on their mental health, their mental side of the game, because he feels like that he wish he has someone who helped him out with that side of the game as well. So he's just doing his role, giving back, and I thought it was a really good story to tell. And thanks to Aaron for taking the time out of his day to sit down with me. And so make sure to be on the lookout for that. I'm pretty sure producer Yuri would not mind if I send him the link at all to share or anything like that. And I just hope everyone enjoys it. But yeah, man. With all that being said, listeners, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. You can find us at RBLR Sports. We're literally the only account that has that username, so you will not miss us at all. If you're on Twitter, if you want to interact with either James or myself, I'm available on Twitter at I'm Leo Santos _. James, where can these people find you?
I am at RBLR James K, and you can also use the hashtag Ask RBLR if you have any questions for us related to this game, a future game, anything in the past. It does not matter. I might have some questions coming up for Leo, so I might ask you how that interview went with Aaron.
Yes, sir. Let me just say, I'm pretty sure we'll talk more about this after the pod, but it was a really great interview. Aaron is such, an amazing overall guy, and, just someone who really enjoys what he does, both on and off the field and for the community. But with all that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast. As James said, it's free. Whenever it's not free, we have no control over that. Take that up with our producer, Yuri. But in the meantime, it is free. So, check us out on Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and all other major podcast platforms. And with all that being said, James, I think there's only one more thing to say. Come on, you Rowdies.
For the first win of the season and many more to come, come on, you Rowdies.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.